so let's get on with the distractions because this is an amazing weekend in the Premier League.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
The three primary races every single year are at the top four, and at the bottom. And this is a bit of a moving weekend for all three races. We've got great games at the top, and we have some of the major players in the relegation scrap facing off against Big Six teams. So we are going to try to cover it all during our time together today. But no better place to start than with the Manchester Derby. So we have Manchester City at first at 66 points versus Manchester United fourth at 47 points. This game is Sunday morning at 11:30 a.m. Manchester City is minus 255. Manchester United is plus 700. The draw is plus 400. Manchester City minus a goal and a half is plus 110. Manchester United plus a goal and a half is minus 125. That's as close as you're going to come to an even bet on the day. So, if you need additional distraction, I would encourage you to go back and listen to our last episode where three of your favorite people on the Extra Points Podcast Network picked their team. And much to my disgust, but eventual acceptance, Cousin Sal is the newest Manchester United fan. So this will be the first derby he gets to experience, and I think it's going to be a great one. I'm playing purely on gut feel here, Brett. With all the bad stuff happening in the world right now, we deserve a proper title race to distract us. So I am backing the narrative, and I want a real tight game here with a lot of back and forth that has a lot of storylines that come out of it. There's never been a doubt about United's talent, and they played a lot better than their scoreline suggested last game. Their XG was 2.66 despite ending with a 0-0 draw.
Oh, Toby throwing out some XG. Let's go. All right.
Yeah. I needed something to look away from the news. I finally looked up a stat or two. So that 2.66, it felt like twice that. Like I think they could have walked away with 4 or 5 goals in that game pretty easily if Fernandez was played like half up to his ability. He just seemed like he wasn't there and wasn't able to hit targets again and again off of just pristine service. Meanwhile, City fell to an inspired Spurs performance 2 weeks ago and then sleptwalked against Everton, winning on a lucky bounce in the second half after getting outplayed in the first and escaped a horrible VAR mistake to hang on in the end. So take it all together, and I like a tight game here. So give me Manchester United with a goal and a half at minus 125.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of on the same page. And lately, like United's performances, I think part of it is the performances either haven't been great or the results haven't been great for United under Rangnick, right? So OGS, like that team just looked dysfunctional. And the crazy part about it, and I think why maybe, I think there's always going to be a little degree of turmoil around United until they win another title. But I think, the kind of the general like discontent with the Rangnick hire and what's going on right now is because if you look at their actual points per match, under OGS, they had 1.71 points per match. Under Rangnick, it's 1.77. So you're sitting here going, we fired this guy. This was supposed to solve our problems. Like he was an overmatched manager. You and I probably joked that he was maybe one of the bottom 3 managers in the Premier League, if not the worst manager in the Premier League. And so you replace him in his 14 games. He's basically was getting you the same results, like at least in terms of pure points, as Rangnick has in his 13 games. So it's like, oh, nothing has changed with United. They're still the same dysfunctional team. Like City's going to, dog walk them in this game, whatever is going to happen. Right. And I really think that like, we're probably missing that United is actually really improved. So the points per game may be the same, but under Rangnick, they actually have a plus 12 XG differential. Under OGS, it was minus 3. And then in actual goals under OGS, it was basically they were break even. And then under Rangnick, they're plus 10. Now, again, in soccer, they do play a balanced schedule when it all evens out at the end of the season. We've had so many matches move. There's always some caveats to that number. Like United hasn't exactly played like a murderer's row of opponents in Rangnick's stretch here, but we're starting to see a little bit. They're a little more aggressive, out of possession, like pressing, and then they're just defensively, they've just been able to tighten up. And I think the thing that we might be seeing with City too is, Grealish was supposed to be a huge boon for them, right? Like he was supposed to be another guy that was like basically going to carry the torch after De Bruyne. But when we see these games that really matter to City, like who's out there? It's Gundogan, it's De Bruyne, it's Bernardo Silva, it's Mahrez. Like and Foden or, Sterling probably takes like the other attacking slot. And, Grealish like hasn't really allowed for this like squad rotation to like keep guys fresh. And I think, and this is more like me trying to read the tea leaves in a really crafty way, which if you've seen my 5-pint pickoff picks is probably not a great idea, but they just haven't been that good. So the City's put up like great numbers lately, but a lot of it's been they smashed Brentford, who is plummeting into the relegation race, right? They smashed Norwich, who is the worst team in the Premier League. They beat the shit out of Sporting, where the score line was way more flattering than what they actually produced. And Sporting, plays in the Portuguese league, which is a pretty big drop off compared to the Premier League, which is the richest and most talented league in the world. But against Everton, they didn't look good. And Everton is not good. Even though your boy Frankie Lampard's there, he hasn't like turned Everton around to be a magically scrappy squad. And then Southampton away, they played them pretty much even. And Spurs, obviously, they lost at the Etihad, So I think there might be some signs of maybe wear and tear, of, just maybe like a little bit of a late season lull here with City. So like between United, just I think getting a bad rap in terms of like their performances on the whole haven't been that bad, and they've tightened up defensively. Like I really do feel like this derby may not be exciting to watch, but I don't see this as a game where City's going to run away with it. So my picks are going to be like in your same vein. Like I like the draw at plus 370. I think definitely 1 out of every 3 times this match is played, with the intensity that's going to be behind it, with a top 4 spot on the line for United. And then obviously the title race is now heating up for City. It's going to be pretty intense. And, I think the other one, my thing, I love the long shot. This is going to be 2 really good defensive teams going after each other. There's going to be a lot of pressing out of possession. These teams tighten things up at the back. So the no score tie at plus 1,300. Oh, I need a rainmaker, baby. I need a rainmaker.
Well, look, I agree with what you're saying about Rangnick, and it helps when he gets Harry Maguire out of the lineup. It helps when Paul Pogba looks involved like he did. I mean, I know that game ended 0-0, but Pogba looked more lively than he had in weeks. That like flick he gave to Elanga when Elanga shot it wide was just a work of art. And Elanga himself has been a bright spark for United, giving them cover for Greenwood. So I like what I'm seeing from them in general. I still think Arsenal have a better chance to finish top 4 than they do. But I am starting to enjoy watching Manchester United play a little bit more.
Ooh, that hurts. That hurts to say, doesn't it?
Well, look, if I got to watch them, I might as well root for it to be exciting. I'm not rooting for him to win, but it's better to watch Paul Pogba, get involved and Elanga light things up, and not watch Maguire just completely muck the game up through the center and then get beat and try to drag a guy back. Like, it's more entertaining this way. So I'm much happier in that regard. So in terms of my prop, I'm going completely opposite way from you, which is probably a bad thing because I agree with everything that you said, although I just can't get away from this idea of narrative. And I think we're going to see.
You're also kicking the dog shit out of me in the 5-time pickoff. So let's just go ahead and stop pretending that that's not happening.
Yeah, and maybe this is just me looking for some wish fulfillment of wanting to spend a really exciting Sunday morning watching these 2 teams play. But I'm going with both teams to score. Yes. At minus 120, with all the pressing, with the attacking firepower on both sides, with what's at stake for both teams, I expect to see an offensive game, and I think both of them can squeak one in. If you're looking for a little bit longer odds, this is the kind of game where Ronaldo scores. He's plus 280 as an anytime goal scorer. He obviously loves the big moment. He was very frisky. I know he doesn't give you much outside the box, but he was making very intelligent runs in the last few weeks and getting himself into great spaces. And I think he hit the post at least once, if not twice last game. He looked really good. And he's also the penalty taker. So if you don't believe that VAR is going to keep saving Manchester City from some airheaded mistakes, then he might get to put one in the back of the net from the spot. So I'm going to take yes at minus 120, but off air, I might also have a little bit of action on Ronaldo to score.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously he has not been great over the second half of the season. He came to United, he had that great run early on, right? And then he slowed down a lot, and we get a lot of talk about the age, a lot of talk about the fit with Rangnick. But on the whole, when you look at the non-penalty expected goals, like Ronaldo is the clear choice for United to score. And then when you throw in the penalty factor, which, we talked about this earlier in the year, that, there's a 1 in 5 chance of penalties call in the match, right?
Yeah.
So,
And
that always boosts the odds for someone like Ronaldo.
And it's the odds, exactly. I think, with his name brand recognition and being a global icon, like, he was always at like plus 130, plus 110. He's even been, I think it was minus one game to be an anytime goal scorer, which is completely insane. But
Right.
because he struggled recently, the odds are starting to adjust back the other way. And now, not that he's a value bet because he's just like a public team, he'll always be a little bit depressed on the odds he should be getting, but you're taking much less of a name brand hit right now than you were 2 months ago.
No, I agree completely. It's definitely, there are certain players, like you said, like their floor is always going to be pretty high, and like Ronaldo's floor for an anytime goal scorer prop is always going to be high because, like you said, the casual fan is going to see his name, they're going to want to bet on him to score. But you're definitely buying low on him right now, just because of the fact that he has struggled in front of the net. He's had some really good games where he's created a bunch of, like you said, a bunch of chances, goals that could have went either way, basically shots that could have went either way. And I mean, this is a huge match for them. Like, this is a huge match for both teams, and that's why I know you and I are excited for the weekend, but like, it does seem like one of those things where this is where Ronaldo just makes that fucking run and just buries that shot into the upper right hand corner from a crazy angle. It just feels like one of those games to me.
Yeah, and look, Liverpool's breathing down Man City's neck. They got bailed out from dropping 2 more points against Everton. Liverpool's, 6 points back with a game in hand, and plus they have a head-to-head matchup coming up in April. So I love that the fact that this race is now something we actually have to talk about again. I mean, the last time we brought it up whatsoever, I think we spent 30 seconds on the topic in total because we
thought it was over.
Hand them the trophy, but here we are, and between Man City, flattening out a little bit, and I don't know if they're regressing to the mean, but not just squeaking out 12 straight victories. There was obviously some level for regression to have, and Liverpool, who we're about to talk about now, kind of just grinding out win after win after win and being a pest that won't go away. I'm excited that we're in the spring and we might actually have a title race. So I hope that continues on Sunday.